Thanks to Call Sheet for sponsoring Mets Daily. Use that code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. Final show today, folks. Again, if you missed it yesterday, we made the announcement. If you missed yesterday's show, today's the final show. I will announce the replacement. We'll do a thank you at the end of the show to say goodbye, but it's bittersweet. It's been a fun ride. Love getting to talk to you every day about this team. I still love this team. I will still talk about this team on my own channel at Jake Brown Live, but this channel we'll continue on with the new host beginning on Monday. So today is the last hurrah. So we appreciate all your support. And listen, if you like me, come on over to Jake Brown Live. This show will still go. So if you're a supporter of this show, it's not ending. It will continue on Monday. And that partnership with FanArch will continue with them. But I will be going independent and doing my own thing. So I think, as I explained yesterday, if you missed it, go watch yesterday's show. And Monday, I will also be starting a full-time role with Filth Bomb Breaks. I will be a sports card breaking personality, entering the hobby world. So if you're a sports card fan, come join into my breaks. I'll be training for a month or so, maybe a little bit longer, and then you'll see me on my own, leading shows there. So excited about doing that. That'll be on the Fanatics Live app, as well as other platforms. So follow Filth Bomb Breaks, and looking forward to getting that started on Monday. Let's get into the Mets. Ryan Clifford, I think, needs to get called up. And while you look at his batting average on base, they're not there, and I get that. He does not hit for batting average. But this Mets lineup needs some pop right now. And Mark Vientos' at-bats are getting tougher and tougher to watch by the day. And while Clifford has played a lot of outfield, he's also played first base. I think the Mets got to give Ryan Clifford a shot and see if he could give this team a little bit of a jolt before they, as they wait for Lindor and Polanco to come back, because this team just doesn't have enough power. And we knew once Polanco and Lindor went down, that's 50 plus homers a year right there between those guys. Alvarez potentially 20, Robert 20. You're missing 100 homers from the lineup when guys are healthy. So you're missing a lot of pop that you just can't replace. But Ryan Clifford's got 3 homers in the last 5 games. He's now got 11 homers on the season in AAA, and he's really the next guy in line. When you look at the rest of the AAA roster, you're talking about G1 Bay, a kind of a 4A player, same for Christian Pache, and, Christian Arroyo. Maybe you try him. I wouldn't be against giving Arroyo a shot. He's been one of the better players in AAA, but Ryan Clifford leads AAA in homers and RBIs, and, he's second on the team in walks as well. So while the average just is not there and the on-base is not there, I do think the Mets need that pop. And Mark Vientos is not giving it to them. His at-bats have not been good. And I'd rather see Clifford come up here and potentially fail than see Mark Vientos fail. We're in year 4 of Mark Vientos. We know what he is. He has no speed. He has no defense. He comes in waves. There's times where he hits. There's more times where he doesn't. And I think it's time the Mets give Clifford a shot. I don't think they're going to do it this weekend, but I think we're getting closer here. When the calendar shifts to June, I would really consider going to Ryan Clifford. Mets begin a 3-game set against the Miami Marlins tonight. It'll be Freddie Peralta on the hill, and they need Freddie to get it going, and they need the lineup to wake up against the Marlins. Myers pitching, who's been incredible this season with a 2.5 ERA for a Marlins team that's 26-31. Mets could pass them in the standings with the sweep, get some revenge at Citi Field after they were swept by Miami. But one win, isn't doing much. Your calendar flips to June. When Monday comes around, this series is over. The calendar's in June. If the Mets are swept again by Miami, I don't really think there's any choice, and I've said it a million times, but to fire the manager. Because now, remember, 22-33 is when the Mets turned it around 2 years ago. They won on Wednesday. Maybe it's the start of a turnaround, but if you can't beat the Miami Marlins at home, you're finished. So get the job done this weekend. Kodai Senga is working his way back. And again, you see below, subscribe to that Jake Brown Live and YouTube for Amazing with Jake, my new show. Kodai Senga did not look good. 41 strikes out of 80 pitches, meaning basically half strikes, half balls. That's alarming. Now, it's his only first rehab outing, so he's going to get at least a couple more. But 3 2/3, he gave up 3 runs total, 2 earned runs, 2 walks. So he wasn't god-awful, but it's alarming that there's that many balls. He needs to figure out how to get his command together. If not, the Mets are going to have an issue. I just don't know if Kodai Senga is going to come back and be that dude. I don't know what he's got left in him. And, the Mets really need Senga to come back because they're the walking wounded on the mound right now. With Nolan McLean struggles, with Peralta not being great, with David Peterson being awful, you're relying a lot on Jonah Tong and, openers here and there, and now Manaea is going to have to play a role, and it's just not a good situation with this rotation. Good news for Clay Holmes is he won't need surgery, meaning he should be back in August, but will the Mets be in it by August? If they are, they can sure use that jolt with Clay Holmes. But if not, Clay Holmes could end up being a trade piece. He could end up being a guy the Mets look to trade. He's got an option next season. And, if the Mets are out of it by August 1st, remember the deadline is in August now this year. It's no longer July 31st. It is August 3rd. So August 3rd, 6 p.m., Monday, August 3rd. So that might give Clay Holmes a chance to go to a contender if he comes back healthy. But they really need Senga to come back and be something. If not, man, what a disaster it's been for Senga after that tremendous rookie year. He really teased us all, it feels like. You won't be teased if you go to Kalshi, of course, because baseball season's here, and you can trade every game on Kalshi. The Mets are trading at a probability of 2% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out $3,700 plus with a win. The Mets are trading at a probability of 53% to beat the Miami Marlins tonight, meaning a $100 trade pays out $182 if they win. You can pick on any MLB market. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. It has the probability change. You can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, trade on anything. Lee Mazzilli and Bobby Valentine are getting inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame on Saturday, and a cool moment for both those guys. Remember, Lee Mazzilli, was cut. There was an offer for the Mets. They were going to trade Ray Knight for Lee Mazzilli in 1986. The Pirates said no. And what happens? The Pirates end up cutting Lee Mazzilli, and the Mets end up picking him up for the stretch run in 86. And what do? They win the World Series, and he was a big part of it. So Lee Mazzilli, a World Series champion in 86 with the Mets. Remember, he started his career with the Mets, drafted in 1973, went to high school with my mom at Lincoln High School. So my mom grew up with Lee Mazzilli in Brooklyn. He was a good baseball player. What's not known about him, really, if you just look on the surface, is that this guy was like a really great skater, too. He was speed skating. He won 8 national championships in speed skating. He was ambidextrous, swung the bat both ways from an early age, but he was a speed skater as well, and the son of a welterweight boxer. So Lee Mazzilli from Brooklyn, and making it with his hometown team with the Mets, coming back, winning a World Series, getting to play with the Yankees in 82, and then getting back to coach the Yankees 2000 to 2003. So he has a World Series championship as a coach with the Yankees in 2000 and as a Met in 86. So pretty cool for him as a New Yorker to have rings with both teams, one as a coach, one as a player, and now going into the Mets Hall of Fame. Someone gave us tickets once, first row behind the on-deck circle at Yankee Stadium when he was a coach, and my mom had wrote a note. And apparently, I think he looked over, but he never walked over or anything. Now, he's middle of the coaching the game. Maybe he forgot, but pretty funny moment from, I would guess it was 2006 when he was a coach. It was either 2003 or 2006, one of those 2 years when he was a coach of the Yankees. But he never ended up coming over after. It looks like he did read the note. Apparently, you could see on camera he was reading the note. So maybe either forgot or just didn't want to come over. So funny Lee Mazzilli story. And Bobby Valentine, a guy that I've got to interview a few times, a guy that was running for mayor of Stamford. He's got the restaurant and bar in Stamford. He's like a god in China or Japan. He's a god in Japan, Japanese baseball. So, I think we all loved Bobby Valentine. He was the manager of the team when I first became a fan, taking the Mets to the playoffs in 99, World Series in 2000, was a player with the Mets in 77, 78, played in the league for a decade. But, yeah, came to the Mets in 96, and finally they started to turn around in the late 90s. And even 2001, that was a team that came close, obviously with 9/11, the Piazza moment. Went over to Japan, managed the Red Sox for 1 year, 2012, and that went horribly, where that was it for him in terms of coaching. And then, he's kind of been doing a lot of broadcasting since then. He's done some stuff. He was the athletic director at Sacred Heart University. So he's done some random things since then, running for mayor. Like I said, the restaurant in Stamford. So he's done a lot of random things since then. But what a manager it was. Remember the disguise that he wore? They're actually giving that out at Citi Field, the Bobby Valentine disguise tonight. So both guys, I think, are worthy. Now, I don't think Lee Mazzilli had incredible numbers, but to be in the New York Mets Hall of Fame, it doesn't really take incredible numbers. It takes all right numbers. And Lee Mazzilli, 10 years in a Mets uniform. Listen, he hit 264 with a 357 on base. That's not too shabby. So 68 homers, 353 RBIs, 152 stolen bases. Was caught stealing 71 times in a Mets uniform. That's actually a lot. Well, it wasn't the most successful stealing bases, but overall, a pretty good Mets career and a World Series champion. If you're on the 86 team, you won, and you are a contributor, you're pretty much in the Mets Hall of Fame, unless your name's Lenny Dykstra. So I think both guys deserving, both manager and player, getting in. So that'll be a nice moment for them at Citi Field on Saturday. Final show. That's it, folks. So replacing me starting Monday will be John Saponaro. I believe I said it correctly. John Saponaro. He hosts the Mets podcast, Till Mets Do Us Part, with Maddie Banez. So there you go. John Saponaro will begin Monday. That is exactly his Twitter. SAP John JOHN SAPONARO. Yes, sorry for the pronunciation issues. But he is out on the West Coast. He is from New York, diehard Mets fan, so I'm confident he could lead the way with this show and do a good job. Me and him have similar beliefs in terms of the Mets, I think. We're pretty positive about the offseason and making changes and moving on, and we both agree it hasn't worked out, obviously. So John Saponaro will take over on Monday. So good luck to John. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me here on Mets Daily. If you want to continue to listen to the show, I advise you to do so, but also support your boy at Jake Brown Live. Go subscribe there right now and follow me on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, all at Jake Brown Live. It's been a fun year and a half. Let's go Mets. I'll still be watching, of course, just not doing a show every day. Let's hope they turn around. They're 10 games under 500. If they turn this around and win a World Series, I think I am like the OMG, the Jose Iglesias, me leaving Mets Daily. Does this turn the Mets season around? I sure hope so. I would love that to be the case, but I'm not going anywhere. Again, Jake Brown Live, Amazing with Jake will be the playlist name, will be the show name under the Jake Brown Live YouTube. So you'll see it there starting next week. We'll have reunion shows with Nelson Figueroa. Try to do every week, if not bi-weekly. And if you're a sports card fan, you catch me on Filth Bomb Breaks, Fanatics Live. I'll be posting when I'll be on there, but I'll be getting that job on Monday. Coming up, moving back to New York. We'll be living for a bit on Long Island while I look for a spot. So looking forward to seeing you all still at the ballpark. If you see me, let me know. We'll be doing plenty of content from games, food reviews, and a lot of stuff on my YouTube. So thank you so much, everybody, for the support. That's it. It's been a fun ride. Thanks for watching Mets Daily. John Saponaro takes the show on Monday. Thank you so much for having me here, Fan Arch. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate all your supports, the comments, the love. We'll see you at Jake Brown Live. Let's go Mets, everybody. Thanks for watching Mets Daily.